Welcome to True Cheating Stories channel. We hope you will have fun with us. Enjoy watching. I remember the way his eyes shifted, not out of anger, not out of sadness, but out of confusion. That moment right there in our bedroom became the beginning of a fire neither of us could ever put out again. Archie had just finished, and as usual I stared at the ceiling, not out of satisfaction but out of emptiness, the kind that builds quietly like dust in the corners of your mind. I waited for the guilt to swallow me, but instead I looked him dead in the eyes and said the words that would change everything. "You are not enough." He blinked. Once, twice. Then he pulled his boxes back on and sat on the edge of the bed. His back turned to me. He did not scream. He did not cry. He simply said, "Then I will find someone who is welcome." My dear community, I see you. I feel you, and I thank every single one of you. Especially those of you who keep coming back, sharing your thoughts and lighting up this channel with your love and fire. To my new and returning viewers who have not yet subscribed, please hit that button. Now it is the only fuel that powers this space. Every subscription, every comment is a piece of this growing family. Drop your thoughts. Right after this hook intro, I am dying to hear what you think about what just happened. Now let me take you deeper. We had been married for 13 years. 13 quiet, comfortable, emotionally dry years. Archie was the kind of man who paid bills early, scheduled us **X on Sundays, and kissed me on the forehead instead of my lips. I tried, God knows. I tried. I bought new lingerie. I sent spicy texts. I even watched those online tutorials about how to seduce your husband. Through a decade, nothing worked. I was starving in a house full of food. I no longer wanted to eat, so I said it. Through one of his usual 3-minute sessions, he climbed off me like a tired worker clocking out, rolled over and turned on ESPN. I stared at his back and whispered, "Archie, you are not enough for me anymore." First he thought I meant emotionally, that maybe I wanted more dates, more affection, but I made it clear I needed more in the bedroom and not just variety. I wanted intensity, power, dominance, something raw, something reckless, something animalistic. He stood, walked to the bathroom without saying a word, and I thought that was it. Maybe he would finally ask for a divorce. Maybe he would even move out, but Archie had a different idea. 3 nights later, I walked into our living room and saw them. Marcus and Tyrone, 3 tall, powerful-looking black men sitting on our couch legs, wide confidence oozing like cologne. Marcus had tribal tattoos on his arms, his gaze slow and piercing. Tyrone wore a gold chain and had a thick beard that framed his sharp jawline. Archie stood beside them and said, "You wanted more. These men are going to give it to you." I felt my knees weaken, not from fear but from a wicked thrill. The first night started with Archie watching from the corner. Arms crossed, no words, just watching. Marcus was the first to touch me. His hands were larger than any man I had ever known. He picked me up effortlessly like I was weightless and kissed me like I owed him. Tyrone joined moments later, his fingers tracing my body with slow, deliberate hunger. The 3 of us moved like waves on fire, crashing over and over. I screamed, moaned, begged. Things I never did with Archie, and the most shocking part, Archie never stopped watching, his expression unreadable. His eyes, dark and unreadable, fixed on every moan I let out that was not because of him. When it was over, I lay on the carpet, drenched in sweat, legs trembling. Marcus handed me water. Tyrone kissed my inner thigh and whispered, "We are just getting started." Archie did not say anything that night. He simply handed me a towel, kissed me on the forehead like always, and went upstairs to sleep. But I could not sleep. My body was alive in ways I did not think were possible anymore. I felt worshipped, owned, wanted. The next day I waited for guilt to come, for shame to show up and slap me, but none of it came. Instead, I found myself messaging Marcus, then Tyrone. I wanted to feel that rush again and again. Archie kept bringing them back, sometimes separately, sometimes together. First I thought it was his way of saving our marriage, but later I would realize it was not about saving anything. It was about watching me fall deeper into something that would eventually shatter us. I started dressing differently. I wore heels around the house. I bought silk robes and walked around with nothing underneath. I became someone I had buried for too long. One night Archie asked me, "Do you still want more?" I said yes, without blinking, and then he looked at me and said the coldest words I had ever heard. "Then maybe I should stop being your husband and become your manager." The room went silent. I laughed. First I thought he was joking, but he was dead serious. From that moment things began to change, not just in our bedroom but in our entire marriage. Archie stopped being my partner and started treating me like a product. But that is a story for the next chapter. It started with my phone buzzing at midnight. "Marcus, you free tomorrow?" "Tyrone, we miss that pretty little mouth of yours." I had gone from Archie's wife to something else entirely. A woman being booked, scheduled, passed between three powerful men like a well-kept secret. And the strangest part, I liked it. No. Craved it. Archie stopped touching me altogether. He no longer tried to hold me no more. Forehead kisses, no "I love you" before work. He became cold, clinical, mechanical, like a businessman managing a brand he no longer loved. He started telling me when they would come, "They will be here at 7. Be ready. They want to try something new, wear something red. They said they are bringing a third." Yes, a third. Archie did not blink. He said it like he was reading a grocery list. That night I met Andre. He bigger, taller, even darker in skin and voice than the others. Andre was quiet, but his eyes spoke the loudest. He touched me like I was made of silk and sin. By the end of the night I was sore, soaking, and speechless. I began losing track of who I was. Archie was now taking payments money from strangers. Word had spread my husband. My own husband was selling me. He told Mayo wanted more. "Now they are lining up for you." I could not look at myself in the mirror anymore, not because I was ashamed, but because I no longer recognized the woman staring back. I was powerful. I was wanted, but I was also something else, something dark. One evening, Archie asked me to sit. He poured us both wine, red, heavy, almost bitter. He looked at me and said, "You are the most alive you have ever been. Admit it." I nodded. He was not wrong, but there was a knot forming in my stomach, one I could no longer ignore. I asked, "Why are you doing this?" He smirked. "Because watching you transform turned me on at first. But now I am seeing something even better. I am seeing power. I am seeing control, and if I can control you, I can control anyone." I dropped the wine glass, shattered across the kitchen floor, red like blood, splashing my feet. That was the night I realized something terrifying. I had not just betrayed my husband. I had awakened a monster inside him. From then on, it became darker. They started recording. Archie set up lights, cameras, professional gear. Called it art. Called it something else, pawn. I screamed. I begged. I told him to stop. But Archie only smiled and said, "You cannot stop now. You started this, you wanted more, and the worst part, somewhere inside me, part of me still enjoyed it. That duality, the pleasure and the horror, tore me in two. One day I would cry in the shower, curled up like a child. The next day I would ride Marcus like my life depended on it. I stopped seeing my friends, I ignored my mother's calls. I even skipped my own niece's birthday party. I lived for the sessions. I waited for those messages, those knocks at the door, that raw, unfiltered pleasure. But everything changed the day. I opened our guest room closet and found folders. Labeled, tagged. Organized March. Marcus, April. Tyrone. May. Andre plus Malik. June. VIP submissions. Each folder had DVDs, USPs, and printed out contracts with my name on them. I was no longer a wife. I was now a business. I confronted Archie. I screamed. I slapped him. He did not flinch. He looked me in the eye and said, I built something out of your hunger. You said I was not enough, so I made you something too big for just me. Now everyone wants you. My body trembled, not from fear but from realization. I was not his wife anymore. I was his product. I packed a bag that night. My hand shook as I zipped it. I tried to call a cab, but my phone was gone, my purse gone, my keys missing. Archie stood in the hallway, arms folded. He said, You are not going anywhere, you belong here now. I ran to the guest room, locked the door. I sat on the bed and cried, but deep down I knew this was not the end. It was only getting started. It had been weeks since the last night with the men Archie brought into our lives. Since then, everything inside me had become hollow. No moans, no cries, not even whispers, just silence, a deep, bitter silence, but stretched through the walls of our home like a disease. Archie had become obsessed. He was no longer just my husband. He was now the twisted director of my days and nights, and too was the performance. He watched on repeat. He began recording everything: cameras in the bedroom, cameras in the bathroom, even tiny microphones in the kitchen. He told me it was for protection, that he wanted to keep everything under control, but I knew it was more. He wanted to own every breath I took. He started inviting more men, new faces, older, younger, harder, rougher. One night I counted 5. I could not even cry anymore. My body became numb, my soul had detached. I was no longer a woman. I was an exhibit, a thrill, a project. But deep down, something was brewing, quiet at first, then louder, then burning rage, not just at Archie, at myself. I had asked for more and I got it, but the price, it was far too high. It was a Friday, cold gray skies. Archie was out. He had gone to the gym. Or at least that was what he claimed. I stood alone in the living room, wearing nothing but a robe and silence. My reflection in the dark LED TV screen looked like a stranger, red-eyed, broken-lipped, fading. Then I saw it, his laptop left open on the kitchen counter. He always carried it with him, always, but not today. I walked toward it like I was walking toward a loaded gun, and I opened the folder named Pleasures. What I saw turned my stomach. 99 of videos, me eat different men, different angles, different nights, and worse. They were uploaded, sold, subscribed to. My husband had turned me into adult content. I was not just a wife anymore. I was now property, and that was the last straw. Iran, not just physically. I ran mentally, emotionally. Spiritually, I ran to a neighbor. I barely knew a woman named Charlotte, who had once dropped a casserole at our door years ago. I told her everything: the men, the setup, the betrayal. She was silent at first. Then she hugged me and dialed the police. Archie was arrested 3 hours later at the gym. Just as I suspected, the police found everything: footage, hard drives, bank transfers. He had made over $400,000 off my humiliation. I was escorted back into the house to pack my things. I walked past the bedroom where I was once worshipped like a queen, then discarded like trash. I walked through the kitchen where moans once echoed louder than music. I stopped at the mirror in the hallway, the one where I used to fix my lipstick before every guest. I looked myself in the eyes. I was not ashamed. I was angry, violently angry. But underneath that rage, I felt freedom. Archie is now facing charges: felony exploitation, unlawful surveillance abuse, and a long list of crimes. Too painful to name. His lawyer tried to contact me. I refused. He does not deserve my voice anymore. As for me, I started therapy, real therapy. I signed away the house. I did not want the walls that knew too much. I rented a small studio apartment near the lake where no one knows me. I changed my hair, I stopped wearing lace, I started writing again, not stories, not poetry, but confessions, raw, bloody confessions. I told my truth online anonymously at first, but the messages I got changed everything. Women from all over the country told me their truths. I was not alone, and that saved me. To all of you watching, reading, and living with your own hidden stories, Let me say this: asking for more does not make you evil, but not knowing when to stop, that can destroy you. I was greedy, I was foolish, I wanted fire and I got it. But in the process I burned down everything. Now I am rebuilding brick by painful brick, and this time I will choose peace, not power, not pleasure, just peace. My story ends here. If you feel that this story is meaningful and brings useful lessons, please like and subscribe to the channel to support me. Thanks for listening and see you in the next videos.